Welcome back, everybody, to the Beer Explorers, the episode where Alessandro and I open and close our beer brackets. We hunt. We do a beer hunt regularly for fantastic, beautiful, wonderful beers that we may have tried already, but usually it's beers that you want to explore. You want to try with a good beer friend. You want to open up. You want to tell the other person all about it. Learn all about the legends, the history behind these beers. Taste these beers with another beer appreciator and tell them all about it, right, buddy? And
that's right,
one of our favorite episodes to film, if not our favorite episodes to film. And man, today I've got some epic beers for you, buddy. There's one that is kind of right up the alley of something that we've tried before but different, and another one that I've been seeing on the beer shelves here for so long. It was a little pricey, so I was like, you know what, I definitely want to try it, but it needs to be a special occasion, and there's no better occasion than the Beer Explorers, man.
Man, like, first of all, thank you for holding on trying a new beer and saving it for this occasion. But I couldn't agree with you more. It's just like this is almost like has a ceremonial aspect for me, like trying a beer here together with you on this type of episodes, which are kind of like the legacy of the beer bracket of the month, if you want in a way. But that feeling of being together and opening and closing, that's the important part. Like
that's right,
makes
man.
It a whole ceremony.
Right. I'm going down a deep, dark beer rabbit hole tonight, buddy. But I will let you start. What are you opening your beer brackets with?
Well, that's very interesting. So the first one, and like I mentioned to you before, like both these beers are special in different ways. So the first one is very special to me. Is a beer that has been mentioned before in the comments. We've talked about it together before. I don't think you've tried it. I have tried it before, but I haven't presented it officially here on Beer Bracket, so I had to bring it in because it's too good of a beer not to. And that, my friend, is the delicious, and it's difficult to see on the label, but it's the Augustiner Edelstoff, the Munich, the elusive, oldest.
Oh my God, that is so
Munich.
elusive.
Yeah, isn't it? It has a beautiful logo here on the front. And what I also like about it is that it comes like encapsulated in this crown, basically, like of...
is that like a foil crown?
Foil crown, yeah, exactly. It has this very mysterious label. And, we've talked about Munich Helles many times here in the channel, so I don't want to get too much into that. But what makes this beer special is that it's considered one of the best and most difficult to find, but also one of the oldest ones, according to legends. So that's the one I'm opening with here tonight, my friend.
That is amazing. Oh, man, I wish I could try that one with you. But also, can I say that this is a recurring event that's been going on ever since the Beer Bracket of the Month days, where we don't know. These are the whole point of this is surprises. We started doing this with each other during the pandemic before we even had this channel, where we'd have these calls and just like get special beers to have with each other and show like, hey, look at this, because we live in different countries. So look at this beer I can find that you might not be able to find, or vice versa. And so, but there's always a common thread. Always, like, no matter how small or how big, sometimes really big, there are always common threads. And it's funny that you mentioned the beer crown, because just wait until my closing beer. Sorry, this beer is a little heavy. I had to reach over to grab this. Okay. It's got some girth. It's got some weight to it. A long time ago, many beer ages ago, many beer eons and epochs ago, in one of our Christmas episodes, I drank a beer called the Gouden Carolus.
Ooh, I remember
Christmas
that.
beer.
I remember that.
Yes. And that beer was so delicious. It was so fantastic. It was by this brewery in Belgium, whose name I can never remember. I repeated it 25 times myself before we started this filming trend, hoping I'd remember it, but I'll put it right here on the screen. So screw memory when you have editing. Right here it goes. This is the brewery. And their Christmas ale was something that was really readily available in Ontario when I was living there at the time. And then I had never seen any other beers in this series, this Gouden Carolus series. But my friend, this beautiful pop-top champagne-sized bottle is the Gouden Carolus Imperial Dark Belgian ale. This is the 2023 version. So it's been aged for slightly under a year. They do recommend that this Imperial Dark be cellared. So they say the more that you age it, the better and better it gets. I'm breaking all the beer rules. I'm drinking it fresh, less a year old. going in, a young wee year old beer. I'm going to be drinking it. Coming in at a hefty 11% ABV. Ooh. It's 750 milliliters. It's a lot of beer. It's a lot of beer for 11.5%. I will tell you all about this beer, my friend, but I think we need to open these beers because we need to talk about these beers over a beer.
I think we should, my friend.
This is a rare Belgian masterpiece, my friend. And if you look this up on Beer Advocate or anywhere that you get your beer ratings, this has ridiculously high ratings. It was pricey, but for what it is, I mean, for something that's meant to be aged and cellared and kept as a special occasion, something that's a little bit rare, it came out to $15 Canadian for this bottle, which it's less than a bottle of wine, right? So it's, well, here in Canada, at least wine, like a good bottle of wine is like $15 to $25. I know it's a little cheaper down where you are, but so it's still, it's expensive for beer when you think about it, but not expensive when you think about the experience, right?
I couldn't agree more, my friend. I think that's, well, thank you for, first of all, procuring the beer, finding it and hunting it down, and second, also to bring it here to this altar of beer for the extreme salute.
Yes. And I love it. You see, there's a little, I don't know if you can see here, there's like the man riding his
with
little
the
horse.
Knight. Yeah, that's right.
Well, so Gouden Carolus means golden Charles, and it's after Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor. That's who the beer was named after in Flemish.
Now I can see another here. There's another crown involved there already. Like he's got a crown on himself. Look at that.
So, but there's two. Just wait. Yeah, there's crowns. All these threads, these beer threads, man. It's unbelievable. All right, let's open these beers. I gotta pop this one.
Man. Let's do it.
And it's got like that little the metallic twist off. It's really cool. Like the branding of this beer is really interesting. It's all in black and the Gouden Carolus kind of like double anchor logo.
That's awesome. Look at that.
Down in there. So I have an interesting history of popping corks on the Beer Brackets channel.
Oh yeah, wait. I need to wait, and I want to see what happens with the cork because I'm usually busy trying to pour my beer, so I want to see.
Just please don't explode with beer everywhere. That's all I'm hoping. Oh, okay.
Okay. Didn't hit the camera, so that's a first.
It didn't go anywhere. Yeah, it just sort of fell off. Oh man, that smells good. Oh, listen to that fizz.
Look how dark that is, man.
Oh man, what a beautiful dark beer. For 11% ABV, like it's got some carbonation to it. Normally a beer that's that high, they're a little bit syrupy, a little bit thick.
Look at that.
Like this has got like a very light, high carbonation to it. Oh, I wish you could smell this one with me right now, man. All right, cheers.
Cheers
buddy.
to you, my friend.
Cheers, everyone
Cheers
at
to
home.
you. Cheers, everybody.
Let us know in the comments. What are you drinking while watching along with us? I hope you're having a beer while watching this. It just adds to the whole experience, right? Oh my God.
I can see you're having a beer moment there, my friend.
This is unbelievable. I need a couple of moments to process this, man. Tell me about that Helles.
Very gladly, very gladly. I know exactly how that feels, so I'll give you a little time to ponder and meditate on the experience.
Some beer pondering needs to happen right now.
This beer is, as many have reminded us in the comments, it's by a lot of people considered one of the best Munich Helles offerings, and for good reasons.
We've had a lot of comments about that. It's true.
Yeah,
you're right.
For good reasons, because I don't think there's another beer, a Munich beer, that is able to achieve this level of balance when it comes to malt, very distinct malt, being light and still having that refreshing, slightly bitter finish that just is thirst quenching. It's extremely ethereal in a way, but yet it has all those elements present. So you take a sip and you can you say, yep, it's a Munich Helles. It has that classic malt presence. You have that nice hops that come in. but yet you can drink it like if it was water. So that's why, like, I think it's regarded as rightfully so being probably one of the favorite and most interesting beers that you can get. And it's also a little bit difficult to find. Apparently, I was able to procure this one here recently, but luckily here it's not that difficult, like in at least where I live. But my friend, I'm dying. I can see you're thinking there. So I wanna hear.
I'm listening to you talk about that beer, and I'm just like, it sounds amazing. At the same time, like, I'm still tasting this beer. I haven't taken a sip since maybe you started talking, and I'm still just like unpacking everything that I'm tasting here. And I remember I when I was reading up about this beer, people just list like 25 descriptors when talking about this beer and the aroma and the taste. Like, it's just everything under the sun. There's almost like 3 different components to this beer. There's like the bready malty side of it. There's a fruity side to it. And then there's, like, I guess you could say the hoppy alcohol component to it, like that kind of acidity, astringent character. But it hides, for an 11% ABV beer, hides the alcohol better or as good as any 11% ABV beer I've ever had. And within those 3 categories, like, you could just pick any descriptor you can possibly think of, and it could probably fit because it's so complex. Strong malt, chocolate, like any kind of sweet, like even if you think white chocolate, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, vanilla, like anything I say you can kind of pick out of here. It's like this mixture, this bouquet of aromas and tastes, like all these different sweet sensations that are coming out. Cherry, very clearly, almost like you took a bite of a fresh cherry.
Nice.
Like, not processed, not like an afterthought of cherry or like an echo, like a cherry echo or anything. Like echo. Very sort of freshly biting into a cherry. Every time I smell it, you get something different. Even I just took a big whiff and I just got like freshly baked bread. It's like, it's so complex. And when you take a sip, it's a lot more fruit forward. Dark fruit, right? Figs, plum, cherries. It is absolutely delicious. There was a really strong burst of carbonation when I first poured it out. It's flattened slightly since then. There's still a decent like head. There's some nice lacing on the glass. Again, for an 11% ABV beer is kind of impressive. It's sort of like it washes away off your palate. It doesn't stick around. It doesn't coat your mouth. It's nice. Really refreshing for a complex 11% beer. This is like beer magic, man. Yeah, I could ramble on about this beer for ages, for eons.
Well, let me ask you. I have a question for you, my friend, because I'm hearing your description, and everything I heard is something that's right down my alley, like I would love. But I was curious because, did I understand correctly? It's barrel aged, also, right? Or no?
It doesn't say.
Okay,
it doesn't
so maybe
say
I
on the bottle.
Misunderstood that.
But it recommends aging it. It recommends cellaring it.
Oh, that's what it is. Sorry. So I misunderstood. Regardless, like for a beer that is that complex, like one of the things that I always like to analyze on those beers is that, are there any elements that I normally call in the distance that kind of like show up later in the finish, but almost like, and it sounded like from what you were saying that there are, but I was more curious about, like, are they the same that you taste up front, or are they different? Because that's always something that I find interesting in those kind of beers.
Yeah, up front you get like sweetness, chocolate, and then it sort of like morphs into fruit. The thing that I would say would be like the breadiness.
Okay.
So like the yeast character. You know what? Yeasty is like one main descriptor that I saw when reading about this beer before. But then in the distance, like you said, once you've let it sit around for a little bit, the aftertaste is very bready. And not like malty, just bready, like fresh. Like almost like a pumpernickel bread. Very, very bready. We could easily make this an hour-long, podcast style episode and just talk about these beers forever. But we got to close our brackets.
Let's take one last sip here. This delicious beer.
Where would you rank that before we move on? Where would you rank that amongst like German Helles that you've had? Would you say that's probably the best one?
I would definitely put it one or two, top or second, because it's a very close call, and I haven't had like any of the Helles like recently of the others to be able to make a judgment, but I do remember that every time I try it, I'm always blown away by how simple it is, in a sense, how easy drinking it is.
Yeah.
Yet how complex. It's a little bit like the Urquell. You drink it and you think, oh, this is a pretty straightforward beer. the more you drink it and the more you
There's
try, the
hidden
more you
character,
realize
right?
there's like hidden corners that you didn't realize were there before. Probably another one that I really like is the Spaten. I think that's also a very good one.
I've never tried the real Spaten. I remember we talked about this on a live. I only get the locally brewed Labatt Spaten, which I was very angry about.
That's
I've never
right.
tried the real one.
Another one that I think we both agree on, like, is the Paulaner. The Paulaner is like it's a very and that's extremely accessible, like in most places I've been.
All right, don't worry, everybody. These beers will be drank. We're just going to put them aside for now, and I'll let you, of course, get started with the closing of the beer brackets. What are you closing with?
So
What a fantastic.
for the closing beer bracket, this is a beer that is I brought here mostly for the experience itself, because it's a beer that I've never had. But it also, you'll see the moment I present it, there's something we'll have to talk about here because it tells some story of how this came about. So the beer that I'm closing with, it's the Kasteel Donker, which I was holding on to specifically for this occasion. So
it was a gift from Beer Santa.
It's a Beer Santa.
That's
gift.
awesome because I can't wait to hear about that one. I got it because I was so curious to try it with you. We never got around to it, and we were filming those episodes in person.
Right.
But yeah, I think once we got to the Eyinger and got that one wrapped up, we're like, okay, we can't keep going.
And especially this being a quad, like, would have been like a disastrous way of concluding the night.
Right. Oh my God, a disastrous way. Yeah. Well, okay. I'm super excited to hear about that one. So I am closing, my friend, with a beer that we've reviewed on the channel already. We reviewed a beer in this family already. And I know this is a variant of this beer that we reviewed that you can't get. You mentioned you've never seen it before. I can get it very easily, and I've wanted to try it for a long time. I was waiting for a good time to try it, and I've been so curious because my corner store just has it on the shelf. It's always there in my face all the time, and I'm just like, I really, really want to taste this beer. We reviewed the Leffe Blonde, and I'm going to be trying the Leffe Brown. The Brun. Yes, the Brune.
It's a beer that is waiting to be drank.
Yeah, and we really enjoyed the Leffe Blonde, for what it was. It got sort of like an average score on the review. I love Belgian dark ales. I love brown beers. So I think I'm very curious to see what their interpretation of a dark ale is. I'm excited to try it with you, man, and see how this goes.
That's awesome. And I can see it has a beautiful crown as well. And most importantly,
that was the connection. That was the connection right there.
And that's the first connection. But then the other, we both went with Belgian beers to close, dark Belgian beers to close. So look at that. We're always somehow
we're just simpatico. We never plan these things, and it always just works out that way. Let's open these beers. I'm so excited to try this one. I hope it's good because I bought a 6-pack. So.
For what I remember, I've had it back in Italy because it was available.
Oh,
there.
You've had it. Okay.
Yeah, I've had it back in Italy. Just here, it's not, and it was a very long time ago, so I really don't remember. But I remember it being good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah? 6.5% ABV. Oh, yeah. Just explodes with head.
Looks like we swapped percentage here, my friend. This is an 11% beer.
Oh, my God. Is it really?
Yeah.
I did not. Okay, it's a good thing we didn't film the review of that at the end of the night then, because I did not notice that it was that high. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers to you, my friend. Ooh, this smells so good.
Yeah? Oh, my God. Tell me. Okay, I'm having like FOMO right now.
I'm going to start saying this.
Yeah.
We are definitely going to have to try this one here together.
Okay.
100%. Because
we can get it. I'm assuming Total Wine would still have it at this point.
Yeah,
so next
Definitely.
time I'm down there.
But let me tell you why it's interesting. So, like I said, 11%. It's classified as a under the quad umbrella. What is extremely interesting about it is that it has like an extremely light character, body to it. And I would add almost like a touch in the distance, a reminiscence of Duchess characteristics. So it has like a hint of that like dark chocolate and a little bit of sour
balsamic
note, slightly, almost umami that runs at the very back of the palate. So you take that sip and it has this very firm clear carbonation, not as intense as a San Bernardus, for example, but like quite nice and refreshing. But then you have like all those classic like rich malt characteristics, chocolate, prunes, and so on that are classic in this style, but elevated and lightened up by a very light body. And considering that it's 11%, I think that's, again, wizardry to the finest.
Yeah.
So very, very good beer. So thank you to Beer Santa.
We should probably explain. I think we might have explained in one of the reviews, but Beer Santa came down to visit him in Florida. I stopped at Total Wine and just came with a box of different beers to taste. And those being one of them that we never got to reviewing.
That's exactly right, my friend. And what a great way, if anybody's ever visiting a friend, put on the Beer Santa hat, and go pick some nice beers for your friend and bring them over. Like, that's the best way. Like, really, like I couldn't have. I felt like a kid, like, and he's like, oh, it's just this Beer Santa's arriving with all the different, and you get to see what he picked for you. It's awesome. It's amazing.
Exactly. Right? It just adds like that element of surprise too. Like, what did this person specifically pick for me? Like, they catered a beer experience for me. I don't know what to think about this beer.
Okay, I
don't know what you remember of it. I definitely
little.
like the blonde a lot better. It doesn't really taste like much, and maybe that's just coming from the Gouden Carolus. Maybe in comparison, it's a little mild. It's definitely very light. It's 6.5% ABV. It's very easy drinking. The mouthfeel is very sort of like crisp, high carbonation, not oily at all, not sticky. It's like palate cleansing. Really pleasant mouthfeel to the beer. The aroma is kind of just like a little bit like yeasty, like a little bit malty, but not too much going on the aroma. Not too much interesting, at least. It's hard to explain. It almost smells like a high alcohol, not malt liquor, maybe like a little bit like a malt liquor, but like when you smell a malt liquor and you can almost smell the alcohol on it, like that sort of really malty alcohol aroma. Does that make sense to you? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep. No, I think I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting a little bit of that off the aroma. So the aroma's a bit off-putting. The taste is fine. It's fine. It doesn't taste like much. I think there's kind of like a signature Leffe character on a taste that there was on the blonde. Yeah. Like, there's a very unique, now that I've had two of them, I can say that it's kind of like a consistent characteristic from the two. Like, whether it's the yeast that they use or the combination with the hops, or I don't know what it is, but there's a very particular kind of Leffe taste and finish, like a character that's there.
Yeah.
A little bit of dark roasty malt, a little bit of like caramel.
I got you there.
You got me. Yeah, you converted me.
It's caramel. It's just it's the way.
I don't know if it's just this batch or what, and I don't know if you remember your experience on this at all. I'm not going to say I don't like it, but there's just kind of like nothing interesting there. I was really hoping for some kind of character, being like a dark Belgian ale. I was some kind of like nice maltiness, like a really strong dark roasted character, something interesting there. And there's just not much. It's like all the character on the beer is on the finish, and it's not even that interesting.
Yeah.
Or it's not even like really inviting me to go back in for a sip. It's a shame. I think this might be the first beer that I've tried on like a beer bracket of the month or a Beer Explorers that I'm not really enjoying too much, which I didn't expect. I was really hoping to like this one.
I might have mentioned before, there were a few, at the time when I was living in Italy, there were a few pubs that would carry like, my local pub had the blonde, but some other pubs would have like both as an offering. So I remember trying it at least one, probably twice, and both time I remember thinking, yeah, okay. At the time I wasn't, my palate was not like too much leaning towards the Belgian beer, so I'll start with that.
So it's hard to judge, yeah.
But I will say that I remember both times saying, feel like I like the blonde better. The only note I remember was what was putting it a little bit down in a sense compared to the blonde. It was the fact that there was like almost like this unfinished, and it might be what you're describing there, dark character wannabe, and then but backed up by almost like this strong like alcohol malty presence.
Yes,
more prominent than on the blonde. So like it almost felt like it's trying to be more like a dark beer. And I, at the time I already loved Guinness, so it's like I don't mind like dark character in a beer. It was just like the way it was presented. It was almost leaning more towards the alcohol presence, and I remember not liking that too much.
Dude, yeah, you nailed it. Like, yeah, there's definitely an alcohol presence on the finish. That's the only takeaway that I take from this beer. The finish is kind of just so unpleasant. Oh, it's a shame. Well, hey, it is what it is. You're not going to like everything, right? Not everything is for everybody.
No.
If anybody is, watching us try this, let us know down below what you think about it. Okay, so definitely when I come down, we need to try that one together.
You need to try the Kasteel, and I will tell you, man, like, and I feel a little bit bad now knowing that yours turned out like not to be like the best experience, but
no, dude, that's part of it. That's part of beer exploration, right?
That's right.
You're not going to like
right.
everything. That's just the nature of the beast. That's what we're doing.
That's right, and you're right, and you're right. On the other hand, I can say, for an 11% beer, for how drinkable it is, this is extremely dangerous. You can definitely tell that it's higher alcohol.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit of that presence, but I would have never guessed 11%. And the fact that you take a sip and it's inviting you right back into the glass, and I think it has to do with that acidity, that slight umami kind of leaning towards that balsamic. It just cleanses your palate umami, and it makes you salivate, and it just like makes you, this is, and then you go back in the glass and you get that nice maltiness, richness, and then it just leaves you with that like salute there. Like, so it's just like really, really well done. Very well done, and great beer. So we this has to be on the list for us to if not review, at least try together. And I see what you're doing there.
I'm going back to the Gouden Carolus.
This is a beer bracket first.
This is a beer. Even though I had to get a 6-pack, it was cheap. It was like $12 Canadian for a 6-pack. So I have no qualms with not drinking this. To be frank, I am not going to. With an incredible 750 milliliters of this delicious beer, I'm not going to waste it on something that I'm not enjoying fully. I'm going to, like you saw in the corner of your eye, be swapping out the beer.
All I saw was like a beer glass approaching, like almost like a distant meteorite, a beer meteorite.
It's true. It just came into the shot.
It's an asteroid.
Almost like it was just floating back to me. This beer is, I don't know if you can see, like, so this has been open for about 15 minutes. There's still like a creamy head on it.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm impressed
wild
by that. Head retention is...
Oh, and just the smells of cherry and chocolate and... oh my God, this is a beer. Wow. I've never done this before. I've completely removed the Leffe from the table and I've brought back the Golden Carolus bottle too.
Hey, you've closed your beer brackets. Now you can do whatever you want. Like you can reopen them or you can...
Thank you. So the Leffe turned into my middle beer, and now my closing bracket is once again the Gouden Carolus.
Exactly.
You see? Well, everybody, we're gonna go kick back by a beer fire and enjoy these beers and finish these together. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us know down below. Have you tried any of these beers? What do you think? If you can find this one, let us know if you tried it. And for all the people who recommended the Helles that Alessandro finally got to try, what do you think about that?
No matter what you do, don't forget to close your beer bracket.
And click that little beer bell. Because what that beer bell is going to do, it's going to let you know when we're in the pub hanging out. And then you can come in. Because if not, YouTube's not going to tell you. And it's going to keep you outside of the pub. It's going to be like a doorman keeping you out of the pub. But click the bell. You'll join us in the pub. Have a beer every time we do. Cheers, everybody.